Yep. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned about variables. So JavaScript variables we are learning. So while working with variables, what are the key points? So variables have three phases: variable declaration, variable initialization, another one assignment. Declaring means you are just configuring the variable name. Initialization, at the time of declaring, if you send value, then it is called initialize. After sending value, if you store some another value later, then it is called assignment. And we have three important keywords for declaring variable: var, let, and const. We discussed points about var. Var defines which scope? Var defines function scope. Function scope means you can declare in any block of a function and you can access from any another block. That is called as what? Function scope. And var allows declaring initialization assignment. Var allows shadowing also. Shadowing means redeclaring or reinitializing same name variable again is called as shadowing. Var allows hoisting also. Hoisting means so using a variable and declaring later. That means there is no order in declaring and using. Generally, first we have to declare and use. But without declaring, you use it, later declare, means order. There is no order. You can first assign, use, later declare. Generally, other programming languages don't support that, but here it is supported by using var. Right? Next option we have. Today we will see other options. We have let. Let actually it is block scope variable. It is block scoped variable. Let is block scope variable. What is the meaning of block scope variable? Block scope variable means in which block you have defined, in the same block it is accessible. It is block scoped variable. Block scope variable means it is accessible to the block where it is defined and its inner blocks. Its inner blocks also it is available. So it is accessible to the block where it is defined and its inner block. Generally, that is what we call as block scope. It is a block scope variable. So block scope variable, in which block you declared, it is accessible in that block. And its inner blocks also, it is accessible in the inner block also. For example, see, so we have the variables we will declare here. So in this, what we are doing, we are creating a function and F1. And in this function, we are defining, just call the function. We are defining a variable let x. This is declaring. So x equal to 10. This is assigning. Then let if x equal to 10, then let y is equal to 20. Now I am accessing here document.write x equal to the value of x. So plus x. And here, let's say x equal to and in the next line, br y equal to the value of y. Now here, this is nothing but we have a string. To that we are concatenating the variable and the line break another string variable. But what is the point is here, in this approach, you should know that this is actually one block. This is another block. Now here y is declared by using let. Y is declared by using let, then it is not accessible outside. If you try to access y outside, it is not accessible. It will not work. If I declared this with var, if you declare that by using var, it is accessible. You can access outside also. Why? Because var makes the variable as which scope? Function scope. If variable is function scope, you can access anywhere inside function. But if it is block scope, let makes block scope. Block scope means it is accessible only in this block. It is not accessible outside. So you will face a problem now. When I run this, you can see here in the inspect, it will say y is not defined. It says y is not defined. So the value y is not defined. Y is not defined because y is outside. Okay, now I will shift this line inside this. Now it is in the same block, but let x is outside this block. Can I access that x inside this block? I have declared by using let and I done that outside the block. Can I access inside the block? We can access, because block scope means it is accessible in that block and it's to inner blocks. So function scope means even you declare in inner block, it is accessible outside. But let is block scope, it will not allow outside, but outer block allows inside. Now you cannot call it as function scope. It is block scope only. Block scope can be accessible inside the inner blocks, right? So this is the concept. So when I save this now, you can see it is working fine. There is no problem. So it is accessible to the block where it is defined and its inner blocks, right? This is example. If you try to access outside, it is not accessible. That is one point. Next one, let supports declaring, assigning, and initialization. All three are allowed. Already it is there now. This is called as what? Declaring. This is called as what? Assigning. This is called as what? Initialization. All three are allowed. That means it allows declaring, assigning, initialization. So there is no problem in that. Another important is LET will not allow shadowing. It will not allow shadowing. And very important, it will not allow hoisting also. Hoisting and shadowing is supported only when you use var. So LET is more restricted when compared to var. var is having more facilities, but LET is restricted. That means you see now, I will write like this. Y is equal to 30. Is it valid? Is it valid? It is what? Assigning a or shadowing a. Shadowing means you need to declare again by using that keyword LET. It is not shadowing. It is what? Assigning. Can we assign? LET supports assigning. You can assign. You can see it supports assigning. But if I try to define again LETY, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. This is shadowing. It is allowed for var, but it is not allowed for LET. You see now here, I refresh, it is not allowed. It says Y already declared. Now important, suppose if I declare here with var, is it allowed? Not allowed. Because LET is not looking for whether it is already declared with LET or not. It is verifying is Y is declared or not. That means shadowing is not about keyword. Shadowing is about the identifier. Identifier means is that name already taken by somebody. If that name is taken by somebody else, still it's not valid. So LET cannot take any name which is already taken by some other variables. So here also not valid. You can see still it is same, Y is already declared. So it will not allow shadowing. It will not allow hoisting also. Hoisting means I defined here x equal to 10 document dot write and x equal to the value of x. Now here we are defining use strict. Use strict means it's compulsory to declare. That means it will say x is not defined. X is not defined. I am defining after this LETX. So it is not allowed. It is not allowed. So you can see it is not allowed. Cannot access X before initialization. So that means you cannot access. If it is var allows shadowing. Var allows hoisting also. This is hoisting na. Var allows hoisting. So it works. But if you use LET, LET will not allow hoisting. And you can see it is not allowing hoisting. So shadowing is not allowed. Hoisting is also not allowed. So LET is more restricted. when compared to var. Var is function scope, let is block scope. Var allows declaring, initializing, assigning. Let also allows. Var allows shadowing. Let will not allow shadowing. Var allows hoisting. Let will not allow hoisting. So here example is this one, and the example this one, this is invalid because let will not allow shadowing. Now we have another keyword const, another keyword const. So const have more restriction. Actually, const it is block scope. It is block scoped variable. Same like let, it is also block scope. Block scope means it is accessible only in the block where it is defined. It is block scope. Very important here is, so it will not allow, declaring and assigning. That means it will allow only initialization. It will not allow declaring and assigning. Only initialization. That means it is more restricted. Generally, where let will allow assigning, they will allow declaring, but const will not allow declaring assigning. Only initialization. You see now, suppose here we are defining. So we are defining const x. It's invalid. Document dot write x equal to plus x. It is invalid. So this is declaring. And after declaring, I am using x equal to 10. Assigning. These are not allowed. You see now, it says that missing initializer. In a constant, it is missing initializer. That means it is not allowing for declaring. Compulsory initialization is required. Suppose 10. So, and here x equal to 20. Is it valid now? Is it valid now? It is still not valid. Why? Because you are trying to assign and you can't assign. For constant, only initialization. Then you see here, I refresh, it says assignment to constant is not allowed. So you cannot assign. Only initialization. Only initialization. Then it works. By seeing this, sometimes people have wrong idea. By seeing this, people also tell you that sometimes in websites and all, constant means read only. Read only means you cannot change. Right? Why? Because it is not assigning, allowing assigning. So they think that it cannot change. That's wrong. If you say const means constant, we cannot change, then immediately interviewer will ask, then what is read only means? Is read only constant both same? Read only constant both are not same. Initializing means you can change. But when I can change, again while initializing, I can change. Can a constant variable change? Yes. It can change while reinitializing. Because reinitializing of constant variable can be done. For example, if I give this prompt, and say enter number. Now what happens? It is taking 10 and it is showing. Can I change this 10 to 20 now? You can change. I say 20, it is changing. So constant is not about changing. Constant is about initialize. Initializing means while starting, there must be some value. You cannot start without a value. In many programming concepts, we want the program to start with value. We don't want blank. Don't want empty. We don't want later to add. We want to add at the time of loading it. In that case, we use this constants. So constant will support only initialization. Const x, this is invalid. Why it is invalid? Initializer missing. Initializer missing. X equal to 10. This is also invalid. Why invalid? It is invalid? Cannot assign to constant. You cannot assign to constant. Now, very important, it will not allow shadowing and hoisting also. So same like LET, no shadowing, no hoisting. That means with one name, there can be only one initializer. And you have to first initialize and then later use. You try to use later initialize, it will not work. So constant, here we see, suppose I define x equal to 10. X equal to 10. I am trying to define const x. This is obviously invalid. Initializer missing. Suppose I initialized 5. Then you can see assignment is not allowed, cannot access. You can see this is removed. That means you are trying to access above, it cannot access. That means shadowing also not allowed, hoisting also not allowed. So hoisting, shadowing is allowed for only, it is allowed for only var. So this is an example for that. So this is again invalid. This is invalid, right? So this is actually working with the variables. So in JavaScript variables, two basic things you should know. First one is, what are the two basic points? How variable is configured. How variable is configured? Variable is configured in three ways: declaring, assigning, initialization. And what is used for declaring a variable? To declare a variable, we use three keywords: var, let, const. And important, what is the difference between them? Var is function scope, let and const are block scope. Var and let allows declaring, assigning, initializing. Const allows only initializing. And var allows hoisting and shadowing. Const and let will not allow. So there is nothing like which one is best. We use all three depending on situation. Sometimes we need to shadow, then we have to go with var. Sometimes we need to define only block scope, but assignable, then we use let. Block scope not assignable, then we use const. That depends on the situation, right? Now, while declaring variables, one more important is global scope for variable is defined by declaring variable variable at a function at a module level. Global scope for variable is defined by declaring variable at module level. So you can use var, let, and const for declaring or initialization. We can use 3. Here also one more point is that another wrong idea that people have. Generally, many websites will tell you sometimes that global variable is declared with var. That is wrong. Global variable doesn't depends on keyword. Global variable depends on only where it is declared. You can use let, const, var, all global variables on. Actually, it is module level. Module level means nothing but, for example, suppose module level is nothing but this is script area. This is the script area. In this script area, we have function f1. So we have function f2. Two functions are present. And we are calling function 1 and function 2. There are 2 functions and we are calling those 2 functions. We have these 2 functions. Now here, the key point is the functions are present here in a module. This is module. Outside the function, whatever scope is present, that is called module scope. Actually, you will learn about modules in later stage. OOP concepts we will see. So not only that, for example, there is a JavaScript file. In this JavaScript file, this entire scope is called, this is module. In this module, you have some logic. This entire file area is considered as module. That means, for example, I want some variables to be accessed in both functions. Then where to declare? So we have to declare outside the function. Outside the function, var x equal to 10, let y equal to 20, const z is equal to 30. All are global long. If you declare any variable outside functions in module level, then they are considered as global. These are global variables. And you can access in any function. So document.write x equal to, so plus x, and y equal to plus y, and z equal to plus z, and br, line break. Above here, so function 1. In function 1, x, y, z. Similarly, same I am accessing in function 2 also. This is function 2. Now you can see that those variables are accessible in both functions. Function 1, xyz allowed. Function 2, xyz allowed. So global variable means you can declare a variable and access anywhere inside the module. Module means it is accessible to any function. Can we declare global variable with let? Yes. Var, let, const, all are used for global. Sometimes you will see some people while telling about var, they will tell that var is a global variable. No, wrong. All are global variable. Global is not about keyword. Global is about where you declare. Position. right? Not about the keyword what you are using. Here, this is okay. This is fine. You can declare by using all the three. This is example. In interviews, one question is asked very regularly is how to define a global variable inside function. This is a very popular question even for experienced people. How to define a global variable inside function? It's not possible actually. So how to define them? Then it is not possible. Then how to define? There might be some tricks then, right? So usually global variable is not possible using any keyword, var or let or that inside function special. Inside function, if you declare anything, it is only inside function. So how you can make a global variable inside function? That is one important question here. See, I am declaring here name. So var name is equal to John. I am trying to access here. So plus. So I will say name is equal to. So whatever name is there, name variable we are using. Now you can see similarly here also plus name is equal to plus name. So we are accessing name in both places. But name is declared where? Name is declared in function 1. Now it is accessible to function 2, not accessible. So it is not accessible to function 2. Now how we can declare? Remember, many times when you ask this question, people will suggest you that declare name outside function, then it is accessible everywhere. That already we know. That is not the question. Question is inside variable, it must inside function, it should be declared and must be accessible outside. Such situations you will come across in later stage. But what is the solution for this? Here again, some valid, invalid solutions are there. So unprofessional solution is many people, if you ask this question on internet, then many people will give you a suggestion without using keyword, declare a variable, then it becomes accessible everywhere. Without using a keyword, you declare a variable, no var, no let, no const, anything. Without declaring a variable, you do this, right? Now what happens is, this is accessible everywhere. To function 1 it is accessible, function 2 it is accessible. So is it working? It is working. Then why I called it unprofessional? Why I called it unprofessional solution? That means for a problem, people will give you a lot of solutions. But which one you have to pick, that you have to decide based on its standards. Right? Why it is unprofessional? Why it is unprofessional? It is unprofessional because if JavaScript is in strict mode, can you use it? Variable need to be declared, na? Right? JavaScript is in strict mode. If JavaScript is in strict mode, use strict. Then obviously it will not allow this. It is not going to allow those options there. So when JavaScript is in strict mode, these must not be allowed to access. Suppose I will give this is string. When JavaScript runs in the strict mode, I will just keep here. This is not correct. Why? Because it is taking it as constant. Na? It is not correct. Good. Then how to declare it? Suppose I will give here. Suppose A is equal to how much? 50. A is equal to 50. I am trying to access this A. A is equal to value of A. And here also A is equal to value of A. Now it is in strict mode. In strict mode, A is not defined. A is not defined in strict mode. So that means in strict mode, this is not valid because it is unprofessional. If you remove the strict mode, it is valid. Remove the strict mode, it is working fine. If you put the strict mode, it is not valid. That is why if anybody gives you this solution, this is wrong. Then how? Where I cannot use, let cannot be used, const cannot be used. Then we have to declare the variable using window keyword. Window is a parent object of browser. Na? Window is a parent object of browser. Now this variable goes into that memory. It goes into browser memory. Browser memory means it is accessible everywhere. That means any function can access it. This is professional. Why? Because you are using a keyword for it and you are declaring in strict mode. Right now you see I access that. That is working fine. So in strict mode, how to declare a variable inside a function in such a way that it becomes global. So how you can do that? So by using window object of JavaScript. By using window object of JavaScript. JavaScript have window object. What is that window object? JavaScript window object is going to define the variables at browser level so that you can access in any function and use them. And it is allowed in strict mode also. So this is the professional solution. Syntactically, what we have to do, window dot variable name is equal to what? Value. That's how we need to define. While accessing, just variable name is enough. While declaring only this. Example, I will give this. This is example. This is declaring a global variable. This is actually global variable in function. That's how we define. Okay. So while working with variables, so many points are there. How to declare variables, configure variables, what is global scope, how we define the global scope for variable, right? Now, one more important is variable naming conventions. Variable naming conventions means what are the rules for naming a variable. So in every programming language, when you give a name for a variable, there are certain standards to follow. What are that? First point is variable name must start with an alphabet. Alphabet. A variable name must start with an alphabet. It must start with an alphabet. So you can start variable name with underscore, but not recommended. So in regular environment, in certain environments we do that. In regular environment, don't. That means variable name we can define with underscore. Why? I will tell you. We will discuss about that. Initially, first point, variable name must start with alphabet only. No number, no symbols, nothing. Right? That means, so var, suppose 2023, so this is invalid. So var, suppose I defined some year 2023. So this is valid because it can start with alphabet. And sometimes var underscore 2023. So this is also valid. But actually we don't recommend to use underscores in every situation. Actually, what is the meaning of underscore is, underscore is a special character used to define variable that requires further implementation. That is the meaning of underscore. Further implementation. That means this is developers identification. For developers recognition of concept, they use this technique, but it is not recommended. Not recommended regularly. Only in certain environments we prefer this. That means actually, if anybody written var underscore product name, this means that this variable's definition is not final. It is temporary. Later, its functionality, its declaration can be changed. That means generally what we do in project, 10% we develop a team. That team will do the next 10-20%. They forward to next. For that next team, we declare some variables and give them. That next team will implement values into those variables. If they have to do some modification in the variable also, then we write like this. This indicates that this requires some modification in future stages. That means variable is not final. It requires further implementation. That is recognized by using with symbol underscore. So it is not compulsory, right? So, but we write like this. Another point, variable name, it cannot contain any blank spaces or special characters. Blank spaces, special characters, not recommended. Some special characters will work, but we don't recommend them, right? We don't recommend to use any blank space or special characters. So always keep a single name for variables, right? Another, its maximum length can be up to 255 characters. You cannot give a lengthy name. So make sure that the name you given for variable max 255 characters. It should not be more lengthy. As per the standards of ECMA, because we are learning JavaScript, it follows the standards of whose standards it follows? ECMA. There are so many software standards, ECMA, Six Sigma, CMM, so many. ISO, IEEE, these are all standardizations. And JavaScript follows the standards of ECMA. According to that, it cannot have more than 255 characters. Variable name must be less than 255 characters. Another important is it must speak what it is. That is a basic rule you have to follow in projects. A variable name must speak what it is. That means you should not give x, y, z, a, b, c, d. Generally that we do in practice, right? Variable name cannot be a, b, c, x, y, z. If I say x equal to 10, what is x? What is 10? How a developer knows it? That means don't use your own names, your own references. Always it must speak what it is. That means for which purpose it is being used. That reasonable name must be there, right? That is very important rule. Remember, what learners face problem in real time is when they go to real time, they try to write all according to how they learned without knowing the standards. There they will fail. Means then their team leads will again tell them that this is not the way you have to write. They will reject the code every time because it's not as per standards. So that is the reason these rules, remember, right? As of now, while practicing, you may not follow, doesn't matter, but in reality, it should be there. And as per standards, it must be in camel case. Variable name must be in camel case. So camel case is nothing but, suppose I am giving, already several are present in camel case. For example, suppose we are defining some styles. When I am defining styles in CSS, how styles are defined? Suppose I want to apply background color. Then generally in CSS, how we do? Background hyphen color. But in JavaScript, it is not allowed. Because I told you these special characters and all not allowed. Then it is space not allowed. Then it is written like this. This is called camel case. Camel case means starts with lower case, in between an upper case, again lower case. Everybody have to follow the same standards. That is camel case. So these are the basic rules we need to follow for declaring variable. Variable name must start with an alphabet, no special characters. So you can use numbers and special characters, but always recommended with alphabet first. Then you can add numbers. And variable names so can have underscore, but not recommended every time. Underscore represents further implementation is required. And variable name maximum can be 255 characters long. Another basic point is it must speak what it is. It must be in camel case. It cannot be a keyword. Variable name cannot be a keyword. That means if I say where for each, that is wrong. Because for each is already a keyword. You cannot use if, else, switch, case. You cannot use new. These are all keywords. You cannot use those keywords as variable names. So this is invalid. Invalid because for each is a keyword. Where, while is a keyword. This is invalid. Right? These keywords you cannot use. Right? So these are all the rules of variables. So while declaring variables, these all rules you need to remember. So how to configure, how to define, and how to use it. Okay. Next important is, once you know these variables, some more points are here. Like suppose I am defining variables like this. Suppose I am defining like this, where I am defining X, Y, and Z. So is it valid declaration? Is it a valid declaration? I am declaring three variables with same one word. X equal to later 10. So Y equal to 20 and Z equal to 30. I'm using some document dot write. So I'm printing X equal to plus X and Y equal to plus Y and Z equal to plus Z. This is how we define. Now, is it possible to define like this? So you can see I am configuring the variables in that way. It is okay. So you can configure the variables in this way. That means various syntaxes I am giving. This is valid. Suppose now I am defining like this. So where here Y is equal to 20, Z equal to 30. Is it valid? Then what is the value of X? So if a variable is declared and value is not assigned, in JavaScript, it will return undefined. In JavaScript, it will return undefined. That means you see here, when you try to use it, it is X is undefined. It is undefined. Just for clarity, I will put a break everywhere. So a break everywhere so that you can see that X is undefined. And if you configure a variable, so value is equal to, or you mention X equal to 10 here, assign, then that looks okay. Right? You can initialize, you can configure like this. This is another syntax, how you can define. Now, for example, suppose I am configuring like this. Actually, X is equal to Y is equal to Z is equal to 10. Is it valid? Then what will be the value of X, Y, Z? So the value of X, Y, Z is 10. That means all are 10. That means this 10 is assigned to Z, which is assigned to Y, which is assigned to X. Right? That means all are 10 only. So this is also a valid syntax. These kind of questions are common in exams. When MNC JavaScript exams happen, means front-end developers and all, the questions will be like that. They will give a syntax and they will ask what will be the result. They will give a syntax and they will ask what will be the result, what is wrong in this. Right? That's how generally MNC level interviews will happen. Concept based questions not there. They will not ask definitions. They will just ask only syntax. Any front-end developer interviews syntax and result. You need to be familiar with different types of syntaxes, different ways of syntaxes. For example, here, actually sometimes more complicated. Sometimes how they give is, they give a question. For that, they give 4 choices. And those are MCQs. That means multiple questions, multiple choice. And one question, 4 answers are given. All 4 are correct. You have to choose one only. If all 4 are correct, how I can choose one? That means one is first priority. Others are second, third priority. You have to choose the first priority answer. So first priority answer. Just like if I say web safe fonts, in that I return sans serif, serif, monospace. Choose one. All are web safe fonts only. But what is the first priority font is? Actually, the standard is monospace. The standard is monospace. After, because serif may not be there. Sans serif may not be there. I told you, na? First it will take serif, sans serif, but finally what? Monospace. That is why people know the answers, but they fail. Right? Because at MNC level, if they conduct interview, millions people attend. How to filter them? Right? We can't conduct interview for all these million people. Then one question, one test is enough. That clean up all of people. Just only 10, 20 people will remain. Right? So that because the question's complexity will be like that. They ask different consequences of syntaxes. So we are going to see, you have to note down and remember them. Suppose if I define like this, where x, y, z and is equal to 10. What is the value of x, y, z? Document dot write. So x equal to, I am writing just x equal to plus x. So y equal to plus y and z equal to plus z. Okay, what is it? Actually, this is a collection. This is a collection. And here I am defining like this. Suppose I defined 100, like this I written. Now what happens is, this is a number. It is a number. It is a number. Now when I refresh here, you can see it shows error. Why it shows error? Because this is called array. That is called array. Array can store any value inside it if that value is, if the value is iterable. Iterable means you can separate it. 100 is a value which is a number you can't separate. So that means it is not iterable. It is not separatable. For example, 100 I am giving like this string. String is a collection of characters. Every character is independent. Every character is independent. String is a collection of characters. Every character is independent. Then this character is x. That means here it should get x100. That means the value of 0 will be y. This will be z. Iterable. Right? That means it is able to handle this. This is actually string type if it is. If it is a number, it will not. Because number is not iterable. That means you cannot split. But string can split. String can split because string is already a combination of characters. Suppose here I entered, so welcome. What is the value of x, y, z? X is W, Y is E, and Z is L. That's it. For others, we don't have any characters to store. Right? That is how they can manage. If it is a number, you cannot. So that means here we can configure in this way. This is another example. So this is another example. Now in this, what will be the option x equal to how much? W. So y is equal to E. Z is equal to L. That's how it manages. For example, here again, one more point is this is kept in a square brace, welcome and to and JavaScript. Three words are given. Then these three words will split into three. Welcome to JavaScript. It can split into three, right? If you define in a square brace, that specifies the range of the values. So while declaring a variable, this is possible, right? So for example, I defined like this, where so x equal to y is equal to 10. And suppose y and z is equal to some 30. And y is equal to z. Now what is the value of x, y, z? All cannot be 30. Am I right? So why? Because 10, 30, 30, because what is the value of x? X value is 10. After that, what happens? Z value is assigned to y. Z is 30 and it is assigned to y, right? It is assigned to y. This value is defined. But actually, y value is already assigned to x. But before that 10 is there, na? Right? Before the 10 is there. So the value of y, which will be assigned to z at that moment, because after this is finished, later y is assigned to 30. But initially, what y carries? Y carries 10, it will assign to x. After that, y is modified to 30. This will not affect x because always x value comes from here. That is the reason it will define as x 10, 10 and 30. Almost every question will be like this only, right? Almost every question they give, I given one choice, they will give four choices, 30, 10, 10, all 30, 30, all 10, 10, 10. Then you will be more confused, right? That is how the questions will be there in JavaScript, right? So this is basically how the variables will be there. Later, while learning variables, the operators and all, so many other concepts will come, right? Initially, this is all basic you need to understand while working with the variables. So variable declaration, initialization, assignment, keywords, and global variables, their scope and rules. What is a closure scope? What is a closure scope? Closure scope is making the members of outer available to inner. The closure scope, right? The outer scope is called as lexical scope, right? These all are technical terms you need to remember. Next important in JavaScript now, JavaScript data types. JavaScript data types. Actually, JavaScript have data structures, algorithms, and data types, which you will see later, because for data structures, you need to learn some more points. Generally, what is a data type means? First thing is JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. Strongly typed language. This already I explained. What does it means? JavaScript is not a strongly typed language. What does that means? It means that JavaScript variables don't have restriction for values. In a variable, you can store anything, right? There is no restriction. And strictly typed, I told you, na? What is difference between strongly typed and strictly typed? Strongly typed is about data type. Strictly typed is about programming rules and standards. Here, JavaScript is not strongly typed. That means actually it is implicitly typed. Implicitly typed. Implicitly typed means there is no specific data type. There is no specific data type. There is no specific data type defined for variable. For variable, there is no specific data type. Important is data type. Data type actually is determined according to the value assigned. That means suppose x equal to, where x equal to 10, then x is number. Into x you stored some John, then x becomes a string. It will not stop. But in other programming languages, it is not like that. If you say integer x, you can store only integers. You cannot store strings. If you say string x, you can store only string, others not available. But JavaScript is not like that. Implicit type. That means it will change according to value assigned. There is no restriction for type. Another important is actually data type refers to the data structure. It refers to the data structure. Data type refers to the data structure. That means it is not about what type of data you are storing. It is about how it is behaving also. Right? Generally, data type means majority people who are learning languages, they have one answer. Data type means what type of data it can store. It is not only what type of data, it is about how it behaves also. How it behaves, what range it can handle. This all comes under data type. Actually, data type refers to data structure. So data structure means which specifies the type and range, type, range, and behavior. Data type refers to three basic things actually. It refers to the type, it refers to the range, and it refers to the behavior. That means what type of value you can store, how much you can store, how you can access. All this comes under data type. That is the key point actually. So many people think data type is about what type of data, but it is not just what type of data. It is about the type, the range, and the behavior. Actually, JavaScript data types. So JavaScript data types are categorized into two types, two groups. One is primitive types, another non-primitive types. Primitive types and non-primitive types. They are categorized into two groups, the primitive types and non-primitive types. Now, what is difference here. That means what are primitive types, what are non-primitive types. What is the concept of primitive and non-primitive types actually? Let's see. First, we will see primitive types. Primitive types. Actually, primitive types, they are immutable types. They are immutable types. Immutable means structure cannot change dynamically. Structure cannot change dynamically. That is called immutable. Immutable means structure cannot change dynamically. So that means structure is fixed. That means there is a fixed range for value. That means value range. So value range cannot change. That is the point. All are same points only, but different ways I explain. So structure cannot change. That means, remember, value can change. Value range cannot change. That means many times people think immutable means value cannot change. That is, value can change. Value range cannot change. They have a fixed range for value. Actually, they use stack memory. They use stack memory. Stack memory usually works with last in first out mechanism. Last in first out mechanism. Stack uses last in first out mechanism. The last value goes in, that is the first value that comes out. That mechanism is called stack. Right? So let's see. Here one point is there. Actually, JavaScript primitive types. Primitive types are, we have number, we have string, we have boolean, we have null. So we have undefined, and we have a symbol type. These are all the JavaScript primitive types. Remember, we are learning new version of JavaScript, which is ES6 and above versions. In that case, several new data types will be there. So symbol is a new data type actually. Symbol is a new data type. We'll see number, string, boolean, null, undefined, and symbol. These are the types, how they work. So actually, I will tell you why they are mutable and all those points I will show here. See, suppose I am declaring a variable x equal to some 56,000. Now, if I ask you a question like, in x, how much number I can store? Number only. I want to store a number. If I ask what is the range of number, how much number I can store? You cannot say any number because there is a limit. There is a limit. And see, I will show you the limit. Document.write. I am just showing you the limit. Observe. So min is actually number.min safe integer. And in the next line, max is equal to number max safe integer. Actually, this is the range of number. This is the range of number. That means you can store a number in JavaScript only within this. If you ask like, can I store more than this? You can't store. Can I change this? You can't change. This is fixed. Less than that, you can store anything. But greater than that, you can't store anything. Or less than this negative, you can't store anything. That is the minimum and maximum. Fixed range it is. Can I store 92? No, not possible. Only up to 91. So they have fixed range. You may ask, like, is there range for string also? Is there, because string also comes under which type? It also comes under primitive, na? That means, for example, sometimes people ask, so var name is equal to John. How much string I can store? Is there a limit for that? Of course, there will be limit. For example, how much your computer's RAM capacity? How much your computer's RAM capacity? 6 GB, 4 GB, 8 GB, 16 GB, am I right? Then you can store 1 TB string inside it. Huh? You are having 6 GB RAM. Can you store 10 GB string inside it? Then how you can say unlimited? There is no unlimited. Your computer devices are fixed, right? That means in that string also fixed. It cannot use all 8 GB. Actually, it is restricted to, string is restricted to up to maximum 2 GB only. You cannot do more than that. For example, currently I am using Notepad. In Notepad, how much data I can store? You cannot say unlimited, because that is also range. Actually, it supports approximately 10 MB only. If any file is more than 10 MB, then it will not be fit in Notepad. You have to go outside. That means MS Word, WordPad like softwares will be there. Limit is there, right? That means suppose you see, everybody have these doubts, like Notepad is there, WordPad is there, MS Word is there. Why you have so many? All are for text only, right? Because all these have different features and limits. So a primitive type usually have all these restrictions. In this first, we will understand about one data type. And what is that data type? We have number. And as I already told you, that actually there is no restriction. There is nothing like you can tell only number can be stored. You have to use validations. Validations means you have to write, is it valid or not? You need to define that. Generally, which value is treated as number? Which value is treated as number? Number means what? Actually, a number type refers to signed integers, unsigned integer, floating point, double, decimal, exponent. So we have binary, hexa, octa, and big int. These are all referred as number type. This all comes under number category, right? That means don't think that number means only numeric will be there, right? Everything is not just numeric. This all comes under number category on. Signed integers, unsigned integers, floating points, double. So which one? Signed integer means integer, right? It is integer. Signed integer is nothing but, so it will have negative sign. Unsigned integer means positive. Floating point means up to maximum 2 places integer, 2 places maximum decimal. fractions. This is called float. If it is more than 2 characters, then it is called double. More than 2 characters, if there is a integer with any fractions, then it is called as double. If more than 3 fractions, any number is there, then it is called decimal. And actually in JavaScript, decimal can have 29 decimal places. Decimal places it can have 29 decimal places it can have 29 decimal places. That means here only 2 I am using, 29, that much lengthy. What is, many languages have only 7 or 8. Many languages have only 7 or 8 limit of decimals. But what is the advantage of 29 decimal places? It can show very accurate values. Exponent is, for example, 2e3. That is also a number. 2 into 10 to the power of 3. 10 to the power of 3. Power of 3. This will be 2000 like. E refers to a numeric, right? Binary 0b1010. This is also a number. That is also a number. Actually, that is a binary number of 10. That is using the character B. That is referred as a number, not as a string. So hexa you know already. Hexadecimal code we learned now. So actually it can have 0f A B C D E F like that. That means it can be a hexa code. Hexa code. How many characters? 6 characters. It can be octa. Octa means, octa actually here. So octa not 8 here. It actually starts with, so it actually start with O. It will have a O character inside. So it will have a O character inside. This is considered as octa. Where they are used later, I will tell you. We will see that syntax for them, how and where to use them. Because for that you need to learn a lot of conversions concept, right? Big int means this is a new type actually. Big int means large binary integers. These are mostly used for storing photos, media types and all. Any audio, video or photos like we need to convert and store in binary, then we use that. Actually, we write like this. Suppose 2n. That is actually big integers. Big integers. They referred with n, then it is a big integers. Means large binary integers there. This all you will get to know. You will use, right? So generally, this is the meta characters. These are all the number types. I will show you, suppose where x equal to 10. Document dot write x equal to the value of x. And this is an integer. So this is an integer. And this is a signed integer. That is a signed integer. Suppose I am defining 2e3. This is an exponent 2000. So we have like 0, 0, B, 1, 0, 1, 0. This is a binary of 10. Right? These are options. Like suppose 0, O, 0, O, 7, 4, 5. Something like this. That refers to some number. Why that number comes later, I will explain the conversions here. These are all types. Suppose I return to n like that is a big integer. Already, so you saw where we used them. We haven't used them. Later you will learn about them, how to use. Actually, you said use it in CSS 2n plus 1. I told you structural selectors, na? Structural occurrences, right? So these are all different number types. These are all number types. These are numeric data types number. And very important is generally whenever you are entering a value from a form, everything is a string. Then you have to learn a lot of conversions. How to convert a number to string, string to number, how to verify the numbers. Another important, how to handle mathematical operations on numbers. Mathematical operations on numbers, these are very important. So as I once explained here, we do a lot of business calculations. Business calculations means, for example, suppose see here, we are using some HDFC bank. In this website, we have some EMI calculator, personal loan EMI calculator. Now what you have to do is you have to calculate the EMI. That means user can select amount, user can select years, user can select interest rate. This is all JavaScript, your HTML JavaScript. When I calculate with this amount for these years with this interest, how much they need to pay every month. How to calculate? How to calculate? You need knowledge of mathematics, right? And even you don't have knowledge of mathematics, that means you don't need to have knowledge of mathematics, but at least you need to learn, because these formulas they will give to us. They will say that you design this, for this the formula is this. Now for example, if I check for the formula, that means you see the result is coming here. The result, it says monthly EMI 29,000. And you see I search for, so what is it, EMI formula, and you see this is the EMI formula. This is the EMI formula. Now the problem here is, this is mathematical formula. This is the mathematical EMI formula. How you will write in JavaScript or Java, .NET, C++, C? You can't write like this, no? Obviously. Then how you will write like this? How it will perform the calculation? This is what the complexity in development. Now we will learn how to convert these real world mathematics into JavaScript. By using these numbers and number related libraries, we can manage that. That we will see in our next session, right? In our next session, our target is building this. We will build an EMI calculator with all number handling. We will learn how to handle numbers, mathematical formulas into JavaScript, and we will create this one. We will create this one. Then we will have a real world example now. Then we can go to other data types. This is the example we are going to practice under number types. Okay, Monday we will see that.